You cannot give what you do not have. You got to be bigger on the inside so you can become bigger on the outside. It's all about developing myself, investing in me. I tell people all the time, the most important investment that you'll ever make in your life is in you.
Hi, I'm Chris Cody. I don't know about you, but I know that I love to absorb content. There's so much free content out there. However, one challenge that I do have is that I often struggle to then take that content and put it into practice. I don't change the habits that I need to based off of the video that I've been inspired by. If that's you, I want you to watch this video, and then I would love for you to comment, and we would love to hear your thoughts below.
Now, after I've done it well successfully for a period of time, and so now I have some credibility to train others, I go to step 2. And the step 2 is I do it and you're with me. This is now all about the power of proximity. The only way that I can equip you is for you to hang with me and watch me do what I do well. Again, 89% of what we learn visually. So while you're watching me equip you in a certain phase of success, what you're beginning to understand in that process is you're seeing me do it. And the value of that is, as I do it, guess what? You get to ask me questions. We're right there together and say, John, I saw you do that. Talk to me about why did you do that? That's part of equipping. I do it, phase 1. I do it, you're with me, phase 2. Phase 3 is after you've gone through that second phase for a period of time, and I think you, quote, got it down. Now I hand the baton off to you, and the third phrase is you do it, and I'm with you. I'm still with you. We're still close in proximity. But now you have the ball. Because how do you develop leaders? By helping them practice leadership. You don't develop leaders by knowledge. You develop leaders by practice and experience. So in that phase 3, all of a sudden, you do it and I'm with you. And now, as I watch you, I'm coaching you. I'm tweaking you. After you've done it, we go maybe out for a cup of coffee, and I sit there and say, now, let's talk about what we did here. Let me talk about a couple things that you did, and I upgrade you, and I improve you, and you, again, can ask me questions. But now you're doing the job itself. You're practicing so you can get better, because the way you improve is through practice. But the way you really improve is through practicing with somebody that's already successful that can mentor you well. And then stage 4 is you do it. And most of the time when people get to that stage 4, they think, well, I've equipped them. I mean, there is. There's Harry. He's just out there doing it himself. But there's another stage, and it's the magic stage. It's the multiplication stage. It's the compounding stage. And stage 5 is you do it, and someone's with you. Wow. That's where you multiply your organization. And equipping is absolutely essential for your success, for my success. Connection matters. Connecting with people. Relating well to them. I wrote a book a few years ago called Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. I love that book. And it talks about the fact, how do you do more than communicate with people? How do you and I really connect with them? And this is essential, because what happens is this. As a leader, we have to find the people before we can lead the people. Oh my. You see, a lot of people, they just try to lead, but they don't find. You know this as well as I do. When you take a client to a potential house that they may want to buy, you've got to know the house. Of course, you can't have to do that, but you got to know the person that you're taking through that house. You got to know what they like, what motivates them. When I teach leadership, I talk about what I call the 7 motivations of people's lives, because we're not all motivated by the same thing. And if I'm going to lead a person well, I don't lead them according to what motivates me. I lead them according to what motivates them. And so I've got to ask questions. I can't just assume. Assumptions, the mother of all leadership mess ups. I've got to find them. How do I find them? How do I find what motivates them? By asking questions. I was in New York City, and I was doing several press interviews and media stuff. And it was interesting. One of the reporters asked me the question. They said, John, what's the difference in your leadership now than it was, 30 years ago? And I said, well, the biggest difference is when, 30, 40 years ago, I led by direction. I knew what I wanted to accomplish. And so I just got people on my leadership train and said, that's the hill, let's go get it. Today, I lead by asking questions. Because what I discovered was that not everybody wanted to go to the same hill I wanted to go, and not everybody wanted to go for the same reason. When I was young, I didn't know that. I thought everybody thought like I did. They had my perspective. And I learned over the years that what I need to do as a leader isn't start leading, it's start finding. And how do I start finding? I start finding by asking questions. If I were in your business, I would get to know the person that I'm taking to the house as well as I knew the house. In fact, I can almost tell you, if you even got to be a little bit lopsided, I would be lopsided on what does that person really want? What's that client really? What's going to motivate them to purchase that home? You got to find them before you lead them. And Coach Wooden would look at his ball players and he would say, "Don't tell me what you're going to do. Show me what you're going to do." A level 2 permission relationship leader watches the actions of the people, and it's their actions that determines how he or she leads them, not their words. I lead my people based upon what they do, not based upon what they say. There's one other quality of a permission leader that I need to share with you quickly is they not only listen well and they not only observe well, but the third thing they do is they serve well. And this is a major difference between levels 2 and 1. If I'm a level 1 position leader, I don't serve at all. You serve me. I'm over you. You take care of me. That position totally turns around at level 2. At level 2, I serve you. I add value to you. I do everything in my power to lift up you. It's the spirit, the attitude that takes a person and gives them what I call serving actions. In my organizations, people will tell me sometimes, because the Maxwell Enterprise has many companies, people will come up to me that I don't even know, and they'll say, I just got hired by one of your companies. And well, good, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. And then they'll say something like, I work for you. And I stop myself, no. You don't work for me. I don't have slaves. You work with me. In fact, I work with you. I'll serve you. You serve me. Let's serve each other. We're not position conscious at all. We just want to add value to each other. A permission level leader that is strong in relations, they listen well, observe well, and they serve well. When I was young, I had a mentor, and his name was Les, and we were having lunch one day, and he had written 5 books. I had not written any. I had no desire to be an author, and I asked him why he wrote books, and he said, I write books to influence people I will never meet or never know. And that so impressed me that I immediately looked at him at that lunch that day, and I said, I'm going to write books. I'm going to become an author because I want to increase my influence with people that I don't know or I'll never meet. That was a strong motivation and appeal to me to write books. And that's what I've done. 85 books later, I'm still doing it, okay? So then I sat down, and one of the most important things that I ever did was I said, before I write a book, I want to write a book that people read. I want to write a book that helps people. So what should I write about? And for the next 18 months, I just studied success and studied successful people, and I asked a lot of questions about success. And at the end of that 18 months, I kind of had a roadmap for writing books, because I discovered that if you can do 4 things well, you greatly increase the odds of being a success in your life. And by the way, the 4 things I'm going to talk to you about now on how to be a real success, these 4 things, and by the way, Phil is certified in this area, and he's going to take you a lot further than I can. That's for sure in this area. But the 4 things I'm going to talk to you about on how to be a real success, I will promise you, if you will devote your time, energy, effort, attention, focus to these 4 things, I promise you, it will put you on the road to success. That's a promise. I know it to be true. In fact, for several years, I literally went across America with a seminar called How to Be a Real Success. And it was one of the most popular seminars I ever had. And I would share with people that I have 3 degrees from college. And yet the 4 things I'm going to share with you, I didn't learn any of this in college. And it just drew huge crowds because when I give you these 4 things, you're going to say, yeah, this makes sense, John. If I could do these 4 things, I can be successful. Just like mindset matters. Of course it does. How I think. These are everyday essentials in your life and my life. Can I give you the 5th one on the power of 5? And that is because this is an absolute fact also. Significant matters. Significance matters. You see, success is about me. What I've done, my career, how much money I make, how I provide for my family. By the way, I want you all to be successful. I'm not anti-success. But you have to understand something about success. That won't bring you any kind of happiness. Yesterday, I was in the studio all day with Steve Harvey. We were doing an entire day developing a digital product on how to connect with people. And in the time between shoots, Steve and I were talking about money and success and talking about all of his friends. He was talking about a billionaire friend of his that was highly unhappy, now even a little bit maybe suicidal. I've known a lot of people that have made a lot of money, but they're not happy. Because if you just live in the success world, it's too much about just you, to be honest with you. You see, success is about me, and significance is about others. Success is about adding value to John Maxwell. Significance is about adding value to you. And the moment that you begin to live your life intentionally wanting to add value to others, you get fulfillment and satisfaction that you really aren't going to find in any other place. That's a fact. You see, I've met a lot of unhappy, successful people. I've never met an unhappy, unfulfilled person that was significant. Significance takes us to a whole new level of living. And I want that for you. I want you to be very successful in your business. I want you to make a lot of money.
If you have the privilege of leading a team or an organization, and you would love help with enhancing your leadership culture, maybe even developing some of your high potential leaders, just follow the link on the screen, and we would love to connect with you.
There's one more law I want to talk to you about that's foundational to the 5 levels of growth, and that's the law of process. And the law of process just simply says leaders develop daily, not in a day. This law talks about the fact that it takes time to become a great leader. You don't become a great leader because you just attend one conference, or you don't become a great leader because you're sitting down and hearing me teach on leadership now. You don't become a great leader because you read a leadership book or that you had one leadership experience. It's a process. Leaders develop daily, not in a day. And what I've discovered is there are many people, they want to become a leader, and they want to become a leader now. You see, I can make a decision to be a leader today, but it takes time for me to become a leader. Now, this is important. I can still remember that when I was in my 20s, I heard Earl Nightingale say that if I would spend an hour a day, every day on one subject, within 5 years, I could become an expert on that subject. And I wanted to become an expert on leadership. I believe that everything rises and falls on leadership. And I said, if I can learn how to lead, if I can teach others how to lead, that would be a good thing. And so I started my leadership daily, 1 hour a day growth process. And in the beginning, because he said it would take 5 years to become an expert, I kept asking myself the question, how long will it take? Well, he said 5 years. So after year 1, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, okay? You can get the picture. I'm kind of in a timeline countdown to where I can be, quote, an expert in leadership. But about halfway through the process, something beautifully happened within me. I was beginning to learn how to lead. I was beginning to be a better leader, and I was beginning to see the results of leadership. People were following me, and even more importantly, people were learning how to lead under me and with me, and we were developing a leadership team. And about halfway through the process, I quit asking the question, how long will it take? And I started asking the question, how far can I go? Now, I've never answered that question. I started asking that question almost 50 years ago, and I still haven't found the finish line. I still haven't found the lid. How far can I go? I don't know, but I know I can go farther than I ever have. I know that I have a better future than I have right now. I know that there's still room for growth and still room for improvement, and I think that's essential. But the second part of this path towards your purpose journey is 100% accurate, I promise you. You see, you not only ask yourself, what am I passionate about? You need to ask yourself, what am I good at? In other words, what is my natural strength zone? This is an accurate assessment. And the reason it's an accurate assessment of your purpose is because God created you for a purpose. And with that purpose that he created you, he gave you gifts to accomplish that purpose in your life. I love this. So don't miss this, okay? He gave you gifts to accomplish your purpose. In fact, I tell people all the time, work on your strengths. If you really want to be successful, work on your strengths, not on your weaknesses. Now, we were taught in school to work on our weaknesses. I mean, I can think back at all of my school days. If I got an A in math and a C in English, they'd say, well, work more on your English. Well, the reason I got an A in math is I had a math kind of giftedness more than a language giftedness. I say, don't work on your weaknesses, work on your strengths. Now let me explain why. You see, in the area of giftedness, strengths, and abilities, from a 1 to a 10, you can only improve yourself 2, possibly 3 numbers. So let's say I work on a weaknesses. I'm just not very good at something. Let's say I'm a 2. That's not very good out of a 10. So I said, well, I've got to get that. I've got to raise my number. So I work really hard. And let's say I'm really good at raising my weak area. And I go from a 2 to 3 to a 4. Maybe, not sure, but maybe I even get to a 5. Now, guess what I've accomplished? I've accomplished average. 5 out of 10 isn't going to get me anywhere special at all. Average is average. And if you work on your weaknesses at best, when you finish, even if you excel, you're just average, and people don't pay for average. There's always an answer. You say, John, what do you mean there's always an answer? What I mean is very simple. There's always an answer. I know a lot of people don't have answers, but there's an answer that, they just don't have it yet. Now, I know that to be a fact. In fact, I know that there is not always an answer. I know the second thing is there's usually more than one answer. In other words, there's almost more than one way to almost accomplish anything that's important in life, but there's always an answer. I always live on the other side of yes. Now, what does that do? It allows me to see the possibilities, not the problems so much. Now let me explain this. Here's the difference. There's a difference between these two questions. I'm going to give them to you. And let's see if immediately you can tell the difference. There's a difference between me asking myself, can I? And asking myself, how can I? That's the gap I'm talking about between successful and unsuccessful people. Unsuccessful people ask the question all the time, can I? Can I? Well, I don't see a way. I don't think so. Can I? I don't know. You see, when I'm asking, can I open the door for excuses. When I ask the question, can I open the door for obstacles and barriers, to get in my way. But the moment I switch to how can I, now I've already settled it that I'm going to do it. I'm no longer in can I land. Now I'm in, how can I? I've always said, I'm going to get it done. There is an answer. I'm going to find the answer. Now the question is, how am I going to find that? It's there. I'm going to get it. Now, can you not see the difference? And I promise you, this is the difference in your business between people who succeed and people who drop out. I mean, you're in COVID-19. This is you got to have a how can I mindset. If you have a can-I mindset, you're done in this work. I tell you, it's over because you're going to see too many problems. Remember this, every opportunity has always been disguised as a problem. Opportunities just don't come out in front of you like neon signs in Las Vegas on the strip that says opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. We attract who we are. That's absolutely huge. Well, I think we need to go over here quickly to level number 4 because it gets pretty exciting here, and I love it. So let's go up here to level number 4, which is the people development level. And the key word here is reproduction. At this level, people follow you because of what you have done for them personally. Now, my goal in life as a leadership teacher is to get you to level 4. I know there are 5 levels of leadership, but my goal is to get you to level 4. If you get to level 4, let me just say real quickly, level 5 will take care of itself. Level 4 is where I want to get you, and here's why. If level 3 gives you credibility to lead because you produce results, level 4 compounds, that's a good word for you, compounds, multiplies everything you do in leadership. In other words, level 3 you add, level 4 you multiply. It's at level 4 that you really set yourself apart from everyone else in the organization because now you're multiplying. And at level 4 leaders do 3 things very well. They recruit very well. Now, why do they recruit very well? I've already said we attract who we are, not who we want. They have the ability to attract better people. And guess what? If you attract better people, you equip better people and you get better. The second thing that leaders do on the people development 4th level is they also position their people well. They know how to place people to get the highest return out of their life. And the third one, I'm rushing to the third one because I don't want to miss it because it's so important, is that they not only recruit well and position well, at level number 4, they equip people well. The attitude is a difference maker in my life, always has been. The letter L in the word real, relationship, equipping, attitude. L is for leadership. Of course it is. You know that I can't finish my talk with you without talking about leadership, and there's a reason why for 50 years I've been passionate about leadership. In fact, it's a fact now, it's a known fact, that I've written more material on leadership than any person that's ever lived in the history of the world. Okay? And one of the reasons I've been able to do that is because I've been doing it since I'm young and now I'm old, and consistency compounds. That's a whole different subject. But the reason I'm still in the leadership game today and as passionate about developing leaders now as I was in my 20s is because I started off with this principle that I now know is even more important than what I embraced as a young man. And that is everything rises and falls on leadership. Not some things, not most things, everything. Let me close with this illustration. In the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, I talk about the law of the lid. The law of the lid basically says how well you lead determines how well you succeed. So let's say I'm an average leader. I'm a 5 out of a 10. If this is my leadership lid, let me tell you something about my business. It'll be a 4. It'll come underneath the lid, but it can't go any higher. The lid contains my success. So if I'm a 5 as a leader, I'm a 4 in my business. Now, people ask me all the time, they say, John, can leaders grow? Can leaders learn? Can leaders develop? I say, of course they can. In fact, I wrote a very important book that if you never read it, I encourage you to get it. It's called Developing the Leader Within You 2.0. It gives you 10 ways as a young leader to develop yourself as a leader. It's the greatest mentoring leadership book I've ever written. Now, so you can grow as a leader. So if your lid is a 5, what's your business? It's a 4. But if you can grow as a leader, it's possible over time, intentionally, to go from 5 to 6 to a 7, maybe to an 8. Now, as I lift my leadership lid, what can I do now in my business? It can grow from a 4 to a 5 to 6 to a 7. This is beautiful. In other words, as I raise my lid, I raise my potential, I raise my success, I raise my business. And that's why I'm passionate about leadership. And that's what success is. And I promise you, this is the difference in your business. This is you got to have a how can I mindset. If you have a can I mindset, you're done in this work. I tell you, it's over because you're going to see too many problems. But remember this, every opportunity has always been disguised as a problem. The reason people don't seize the opportunity is because it's almost always disguised in problems and challenges and difficulties. You see, if you live on that can I world, you let opportunities pass you every day. But it's okay. There are people all around you that are asking, how can I? And they'll pick it up. The opportunity is never lost. Failure and success, they go together. They succeed because in their failing, they learn from their failure. And failure is a huge learning tool. You never want to omit it out of your life. You want to realize that it's there to teach you something. It's going to make a difference for you. And it's just absolutely amazing once you put them together. So when you fail, you say, okay, I'm going to learn to fail forward. I read a book a few years ago called Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn. The value of failure is learning. I was talking the other day to a CEO, second largest tech company in the world. And he was talking to me about, in their incredible success, all of the difficulties, the challenges, the losses, the failures. And I asked him, I said, well, would you like to go back and do some of those over? We'd like to take that decision that was kind of not a good decision and do it over. That's a question. All of us would like to have do-overs in our life, wouldn't we? We wouldn't like to go back and say, oh, I wish I could have another shot at that. And interesting enough, when I asked him if he would like to go back and do any of them over, he said no. Wow. No, you don't want to do any of them over? He said, no, John. He said, because in my mistakes, failures, my losses, I learned so much. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about my company. I learned a lot about what doesn't work. He said, I am the person I am today because I learned from my failures. In fact, he said, the inner core of who I am, the character, it's all out of the difficult. And even better, you like them. So now you're beginning to develop relationships. And watch this. At level number 2, people follow you because they want to. There is a world of difference between people following you because they have to and people following you because they want to. And what is that difference? Very simple. Energy. At level number 2, when you grow and develop your leadership to be a permission leader, what you'll find immediately from the people on your team is you get much more energy. Why? Because they like you, you like them, you like being together, you like working together, you like doing projects together, you like taking the hill together. It's all because you like each other. And energy is immediately infused in people when they like their leader. Why? Because you're inspiring them. You're bringing the best out of them. Now, as I talk about level 2, 3, and 4, these middle 3 levels, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you at each level so that we can be practical, so that you can have some good, tangible things to kind of put your hands on. I'm going to talk to you about 3 things that leaders do well at each one of these 3 middle levels. So at the permission level, for example, one of the things that leaders really do well is they listen well. They have not only an open door policy in their leadership, they have an open ear policy. They walk slowly through the crowd. And that is so true, I guess. But if you're living and working with living people, trust me, the equipping people is absolutely essential to your success and to my success. That's a fact. Those are two essential equipping questions. What am I doing for myself? What am I doing for others? That is absolutely huge in your life. It's huge also in my life. Equipping people. And by the way, there's a process of equipping them that I want to make sure that you have. It's a very simple process. You can do it. I've done it for, 40 years, okay? I have the largest equipping of leaders organization in the world. We've equipped 5 million leaders in every country of the world, okay? So we've got equipping down, and there's a 5-step process in equipping that I want to share with you now, and I want you to begin to implement it and practice it in your life. Here are the 5 steps. Step number 1, I do it. Equipping always begins with me being the example. In other words, you cannot teach what you do not know. You cannot give what you do not have. And so when I see people that are equipping others, but they're not successful themselves, I think, well, this isn't going to work. In other words, if I'm going to equip you, the first thing I do before I ever equip you is I got to be successful myself. Why would you want to follow me if I'm not successful? Why would you want me to train you to do something I'm not good at myself? That makes no sense at all. So the first prerequisite for equipping people is that you and I do it well ourselves. That gives me the credibility to equip you.
Wow. If you're like me, you watch a video like that from Maxwell Leadership and you just get inspired. I love how it's so practical. It just makes a lot of sense. But here's the challenge. We have to commit to each other. We have to commit to change, both in our personal lives and also our professional lives. Looking for more information about the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team? Follow the link below to learn more. We can't wait to hear from you and add value to your lives.